reach an agreement over spending before last night's deadline.
Griff Jenkins joins us live on Capitol Hill with the latest. Hey, Griff, last time it lasted 35 days. Wonder how long this one will last.
It sure did. That's a great question, Ainsley. Brian Lawrence, good morning. It was December of 2018, and that government shutdown lasted 35 days, as you point out. Now, here we go again, the Senate failing to pass that short-term government spending bill. Now, hundreds of thousands of government employees will be furloughed, possibly some even let go. And this morning, we have a brand new statement from Democrat leaders Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. In it, they say Donald Trump and Republicans have now shut down the federal government because they do not want to protect the health care of the American people. Democrats remain ready to find a bipartisan path forward to reopen the government in a way that lowers costs and addresses the Republican health care crisis, but we need a credible partner. Now, here's the vote breakdown. It was 55 to 45, 3 Democrats voting with Republicans, John Fetterman, Catherine Cortez Masto, and independent Angus King, who caucuses with Democrats. 1 Republican, Rand Paul, voted against the bill as Minority Leader Chuck Schumer blasted Republicans over the bill.
Their bill, they call it clean, we call it totally partisan. There was no input from Democrats. Not a single line in their bill had input from Democrats. They never consulted us. Thune didn't consult me. Johnson didn't consult Hakeem. And the bottom line is that we had a partisan bill.
But House Speaker Mike Johnson slammed Democrats who were holding out to try to extend Obamacare tax credits.
What they're trying to do is roll back the reforms, the very important, necessary reforms that we included in the big, beautiful bill. We got able-bodied young men off of Medicaid. They should have never been there in the first place. And we got illegal aliens off as well. Millions of people removed from the rolls, which makes health care more affordable for everybody. They want to roll that back. Why? Because they want illegal aliens to be voters for their side.
The shutdown comes after a New York Times poll showed 65% of Americans said Democrats should not shut the government down if their demands were not met. Just 27% said they should. So where do we go from here?
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey. Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. When you try to we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
No sane person wants to see a government shutdown. People are going to be hurt, and that bothers me very, very much. But if we allow the Republicans to simply not negotiate and to throw 15 million people off of health care and to double
Notice how he says people, not Americans.
Premiums for 20 million people, 15 million, to simply not negotiate and to throw 15 million people off of health care and to double premiums for 20 million people, that will cause even more harm. And by the way, on top of all of that, you have a president who today said to the military, wouldn't it be a good idea if we could start practicing military exercises by invading cities in America, who was threatening the media. So you have a movement toward authoritarianism that we have to address as well. This, Caitlin, is a very difficult moment in the modern history of this country. I think probably as dangerous as any time since the Civil War period. And I think what the American people are saying, we cannot, this is not business as usual. We've got to stand up, we've got to fight back and create a government that works for all of us, not just Elon Musk and the billionaires.
Number 2 over here, I feel like I'm back in court. Exhibit number 2, okay? This is the specifics of what that would mean. When we say they want to give $200 billion back to illegal aliens, these are the specifics. If you read the legalese here and the language in the bill on page 57 and what follows, that's what it's talking about. These are all the various provisions in the chart over here. Those are listed in millions. So you see the final total there, $192.8 billion of your hard-earned taxpayer dollars that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats want to give back to illegal aliens. That's a fact, and nobody can refute it.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
all we can do is put it out and expose it in broad daylight. That's all we can do. Hey, we gonna let you process it. You know, take it all in, and hey, however you feel about it, leave a beautiful comment down below. Hey, it's all out there. I mean, it's been out there for a long time. This isn't nothing new. Come on now. I mean, hey, the heifer said it on CNN. Come on, not long ago. Yeah.
Must be addressed.
The bill also says, quote, every individual who is a resident of the United States is entitled to benefits for health care services under this act. Not every individual who's a citizen, but every individual who's a resident. So you support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
And I was the nominee last year. Boy. We dodged a nuclear missile, not a bullet.
The president put on a social media post a picture of Russ Vought and said all eyes are on Russ Vought today. And I don't want to oversimplify what is so very not simple with the government shutdown, but effectively you have an OMB director out of the White House who is effectively running the federal government and making massive decisions here. They could potentially cripple some of these agencies, which we should be clear, as he wrote in Project 2025, he has argued that some of these agencies are too big and have hurt Americans. And so from his vantage point, he has been empowered by the president to move forward with these firings. And then on top of that are the cuts, the budget cuts, that he has been very clear that he has the power to decide what projects get allotted money. And as Speaker Johnson said yesterday, it is a subjective decision, one to advance this administration's priorities. And just this morning, in a tweet, Russ Vought, he made clear that there is another project specifically in Chicago that is set to, at least for now, get withholding of funds, saying $2.1 billion in Chicago infrastructure projects, specifically the Red Line extension and the Red and Purple modernization project, have been put on hold to ensure funding is not flowing via race-based contracting. Yesterday, he threatened 2 infrastructure projects here in New York. He threatened 16 other Democratic-led states in green energy projects. And when we're talking about this Red Line extension in Chicago, I know most people don't live in Chicago, but for those that do, this is a 5.5-mile extension that has been talked about for decades, went through this contracting process, and is currently moving forward up until this moment here. And this was a line that was a rail line that was going into the far south side of Chicago, a largely minority, low-income population that has never been served by a rail line to give them access to the rest of Chicago. These are the types of projects that we are talking about this White House using the shutdown to halt funding for.
Yeah, and it's taxpayer funding. It's American money.
And it's been contracted and previously contracted.
MSNBC.
When Congress decides to turn off the lights to shut the government down, it shifts the authority to the executive branch. That's how the process works. The person who has decided to put the White House in that situation is Chuck Schumer, who leads the Democrats, the 44 who keep voting to keep the government from opening up. They're voting to shut it down. So what happens in that situation? Whoever is the president, whoever is sitting in the White House, and their staffs at the Office of Management and Budget are given an unenviable task. It's a regretful situation. They have to then determine, since the spigots have been effectively turned off and there's no more money coming in, they have to then prioritize, triage effectively, federal spending. They have to look at all of that and say, you know, which things are deemed essential and which are non-essential, which priorities, policies, and personnel must be kept to keep the government operating, and which are less of a priority. So whomever is sitting in the White House gets to then apply their lenses of review. We happen to have a Republican, a conservative administration. We're very grateful for that. We're limited government conservatives. We think the government's too big. We think the federal government is too big. It does too many things, and it does almost nothing well. And so it serves the taxpayers to send less of their hard-earned money to Washington and keep more in their pockets. That's what we're advancing through the One Big Beautiful Bill and all the legislative priorities that we achieve. But see, sometimes Democrats, not sometimes, all the time, Democrats don't agree with that because they love big government. I mean, listen to them. They want the government to control every aspect of your lives, and they need all of your hard-earned dollars to do that. In fact, they'd like to take them all. That's what the socialists are arguing for. That's what the Marxists believe. We believe the opposite. So here's this situation. Here's the president, the current occupant of the White House, that's been given this opportunity by Chuck Schumer, and he's a limited government conservative. He's looking at that and saying, gee, this is inefficient, this is ineffective. And we'd never get Democrat votes to limit that because they never vote to limit government, ever. It's against their religion. But he has that opportunity now to say this is a program that would serve the American people if it were not funded, because government would be more efficient and effective, and that serves everyone. So they're going to make those decisions.
How people say that they take